Hello guys, welcome back to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Natalie Rydstrom, returning guests Martin Green and Simon from Need for Tips here, two championship experts. We did all right last week. We were warned about Ipswich from our guest here, Simon, but all in all, not a bad week. How confident do we feel about this week?
There's some games that I really like the look of, so a lot of value here. I think there could be some interesting ones to back here.
Yeah. How about you, Simon?
I feel exactly the same. I've only got one skip, only one game that I'm skipping. I think and I've got more than one bet on most of the games, actually, I think.
Wow. Do you know what? I think I've only got one skip as well. What will be interesting to see if it's the same skip. Yeah, I think I've only got one as well. Interesting, because during the week or last week, we pretty much skipped like half, so quite a difference. All right, let's kick the show off. We've got 12 matches, one skip. Birmingham versus Leeds. Leeds 2.5, Birmingham 3.2, draw 3.3, powered by Bet365. So we've got 14th place Birmingham hosting 4th place Leeds, but I tell you what, neck and neck here if you compare their home and away form. Start us off there, Simon.
Yeah, I think obviously Birmingham, they had a good win at Wolves last time out, but I'm not going to read too much into that. It was a local derby. Wolves terrible at home, obviously only just 4 wins. Birmingham, I think just 2 wins in 15 with Zola in charge. They are starting to get a few players back, clean sheets in 25. So if you compare that with Leeds, who they've got Chris Wood, who's in great form. I think he's now joint top scorer. Towards a Leeds win, but Leeds also, they've not kept the clean sheet in the last 12 away. I think they've scored 22, conceded 22. So they come on both teams to score, and you can get that at 1.91 with William Hill. That with Leeds 0 on the Asian. So draw no bet. I think you can get that at 1.77 with Bet Victor as well.
All right, so Leeds draw no bet and both teams to score. That's exactly what I'm going for. Both teams to score, both concede. I think it's a great tip, top tip for this match for sure. I found 1.95. Bit of a revenge match though for Leeds, this, isn't it? Obviously, Birmingham beat them in the reverse match 2-1. But Birmingham at home, definitely expecting goal from them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Leeds definitely getting something out of this match, whether it's a win or the draw. So not bad at all. Martin, what are you going for?
Yeah, I was very impressed by Leeds' performance when they beat Sheffield Wednesday last time out. I think they can keep hold of that 4th place spot here. I'm not reading too much into the Birmingham win last time out either. It was 2 poor teams playing against each other in a bit of a dodgy Black Country derby. So I'm looking at the Leeds win here at 2.4 with Bet365. And yeah, if you do want to play it a bit safer, 1.7 on the draw no bet with Bet365 looks good, or yeah, it looks like you can get up to 1.77. So just to be a bit on the safe side, that looks a very good bet.
Oh, all right, going in strong there is Martin on that Leeds win. Blackburn versus Wigan. Blackburn 2.2, draw 3.3, and Wigan 3.25. 22nd and 23rd on the table. I'm sure both playing for needed points. I've got an interesting bet for this match, actually. Sort of think that Blackburn at home should clinch this one, but both teams have been so hit or miss. I'm going for Blackburn to score first, 1.85. I wanted to just play Blackburn to score over 0.5 goals. I think the odds are about 1.4. Not sure what I'm expecting from Wigan. Might even see a draw. I don't know, but I just think Blackburn at home, they're going to get the first goal in on 1.85. That's my bet for that match. What are you going for, Martin?
Well, I'm going for Blackburn draw no bet in this one. Change of manager inspired them to a great win against Derby last time out. Think they can keep the good times rolling here against fellow relegation candidates Wigan. Both teams are pretty poor and Wigan haven't won in 3. I do think Blackburn can edge it, but I think it'll be a close one. So 1.73 on draw no bet looks a very good one to me.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be close. Simon, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, exactly the same. I agree with Martin. Obviously, it's a huge relegation battle, 6-pointer. Blackburn are probably better than what the table suggests. I think they're the only team that have won home and away at Newcastle this season. And as I thought, I think Tony Mowbray coming in has kind of galvanised them. They've won one, they've drawn, they've only conceded one. Wigan don't score many goals, so I think that's a sensible bet. Yeah, certainly the draw no bet. I think I got about 1.70, but yeah, definitely I think that's a really good bet there.
All right, so you go for the Blackburn. What do you think about my bet there, Blackburn to score first, 1.85?
I don't like that. I think that's a bit like, you know, to win to nil. It could just take a dodgy referee decision, a penalty. It's not the sort of bet that I like. I see the reason for it, but I just think it's very risky.
All right. I'm a bit of a risk taker, me, Simon, and it often pays off. So, all right. Bristol versus Burton. Bristol 1.9, draw 3.5, Burton 4.33. All those odds with Bet365. Not much to say about this match except going for the Bristol win. Can't really argue with it, to be honest. Both teams in need of the points, but you've just got to look at their home and away record. And Burton do so struggle terribly on the road. Just can't see past a Bristol win for me. Simon?
I don't know. I mean, Burton, they're very much, I describe them as the Elche of the Championship. You know, they're this sort of really kind of small club. 10 years ago, they were non-league. They don't care about reputations. You know, over the last month, they've won 3, they've drawn 2, they've only lost 2. Got a good goal scorer in Michael Kitely. He's got 3 and 4. Depends on which city's going to turn up. You know, are we going to see the city that lost against Villa and lost at home to Fulham? Or are we going to see the city that went 3-0 up at Derby and 3-0 or 2-0 up at... It all depends on that. I like Burton at the moment. I think I'm going to go for double chance Burton because I think it's a really good price at 1.93. Obviously a small stake because, as I say, you know, you never know what city's going to turn up, but chance Burton now, I think.
So you're going for Burton, are you?
Chance Burton to win or draw.
To win or draw, double chance. Okay, what are you going for, Martin?
Yeah. I don't really like the look of this game, to be honest. I agree with Simon in that Burton are an interesting side that generally tend to surprise you. They're in my naughty corner in a different way because they beat Norwich a few weeks ago when I really expected Norwich to win that one. And I was burnt there. So I'm kind of loath to oppose them in this game, especially when Bristol are without a win in 5. Didn't play very well in losing to Aston Villa 2-0 last time out. So this one's definitely a pass for me, I'm afraid. Can I also just explain to Ad Hoc what Black Country Derby means? The Black Country is a part of the UK in and around Birmingham. So it encompasses Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Shropshire, and... help me out here. What's the county next to Shropshire? Staffordshire.
Walsall, Shrewsbury.
So it's basically the area where Brummies come from, and I think it comes from the manufacturing that took place there back in the Industrial Revolution. So we call that the Black Country Derby. Anyone between Aston Villa, Wolves, or Birmingham City, or even Walsall might get in the mix for a little Black Country Derby.
Yeah. Ad Hoc is making fun of your naughty corner. You do like to stick teams in the naughty corner, don't you?
This corner that Simon's introduced, I'm loving it. I have my own naughty corner now.
No, that's right. That's right. It was Simon, wasn't it, that put them in the naughty corner?
Yeah.
That's right. All right.
I've got another word for it, but I'm not allowed to say that on air anyway. So that's as nice as I can be. But I just want to add on Bristol City. They've only won once in their last 7 at home, and that was against Rotherham. So I'm confident about Bristol City at all. And that's why, you know, I'm looking at Burton. I think they're the form team out of the 2, and that's why I'm going for them double chance. I think it's a really good price.
All right. Derby versus Barnsley. Derby 1.77, draw 3.8. Barnsley 5. I think this match could be closer than the odds suggest, to be honest with you. Quite surprised to see Barnsley priced as high as 5. Barnsley do actually have a better away record than Derby at home, but both teams are in poor form. We've got Barnsley 1 win in 5 and Derby worse. They haven't won a match in 7. So it's sort of like two poor teams right now, but I think I do have a good bet for this match. Going to start with you, Simon.
Yeah, I think you're right. Derby, they've kissed goodbye now to the playoffs. They're heading towards, you know, the kind of bottom half of the table since Christmas. They've just been terrible. Their last 3, and they've conceded a couple. On a bad side away, you know, they've got 8 wins on the road. In the last 6 games, I think they've only conceded 4 goals. If you couple that with Derby as well over the last few games, it suggests to me it's going to be a really low scoring game. So I think there's value in the under 2.5. I think you can get that at 1.87. But I also like the draw as well. I think at 3.75, I think that's a really good price for the draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually giving Barnsley a goal advantage there. So Barnsley +1, 1.62. So basically, if it's a draw, I win. If it's lose by 1 goal, stake refunded. I think it is going to be close. And if you're going for that draw there, not a huge amount of value, but I like it. Barnsley +1, 1.62. Martin, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm right with you there, actually, Natalie. It's not an official top tip, but my lean would be towards Barnsley +1. I found that at 1.58 with Bet365. Yeah, maybe a tad more value somewhere, but I think that looks probably the best way to approach it. Although I do quite like under 2.5 goals as well. Neither of these teams has been hot on the goal scoring form of late. So yeah, a tight, low scoring affair, I believe.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. Fulham versus Preston. Fulham 1.8, draw 3.8. Preston 4.7, 7th and 9th. Another close game, really. Last 4 head-to-heads have seen both teams scoring. What are you going for here, Simon?
I think it's a really interesting game. I like both of these teams, and I think potentially, you know, if someone is going to kind of make up a little bit of ground and get into the playoffs, make a late run, one of these. Probably leaning more towards Fulham doing that. I think if they win their game in hand, they'll only be 2 points behind Sheffield Wednesday. And they're also in good form. They've only lost 1 in 9. They've not scored away in their last 3, but I think that their philosophy is to kind of win their home games and make sure they pick up a point away from home. Well, and I think they'll score. I think that Fulham at home, they average something like 3 goals. They do concede. They've recently conceded 2 goals, not just to Forest, but to Wigan, of all people, as well. So it just shows that they are very vulnerable at the back.
Yeah.
I think they'll both go for it. I don't think the draw's any use to either of them, the winners market. But I think a really strong bet for Fulham this season is both teams to score and over 2.5. You get that at 2.10. I think that's a fantastic bet.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you, to be honest here. I've got both teams to score, which is my top tip, 1.73. I like the over 2.5 goals, 1.78. I like the Fulham win, 1.8. I like the correct score, 2-1 to Fulham, 9. That's what I think the final result's going to be. But top tip for this video is both teams to score. What are you going for, Martin? I feel confident about this match. I've got like a host of tips, but what do you like?
You really? I'm really unsure. I'm on the fence about this one. Totally. I mean, yeah, Preston have been in great form, as you say. They've only lost once in, is it 9 games? Fulham are dreadful at home. Fulham are they've only won 7 out of 16 games at home, which has cost them because they're the 3rd best team in the league away from home. So I think that Preston could probably go there and nick a result. I could see it maybe ending in a draw, but I'd probably stay well away from this one. I think they're 2 very unpredictable teams. I wouldn't like to say.
There we go. It's funny how one person is confident and another person is not so confident. Interesting. All right, Ipswich versus Brentford. Ipswich 2.5, Brentford 2.9, draw 3.4. Have you learned your lesson against Ipswich? What's your bet here, Martin?
Yeah, they surprised us all. Well, they surprised me anyway by nicking a draw in another derby. That would be an East Anglia derby, Ipswich v Norwich. They welcome a Brentford side that has won its last 2 games. So I'd be leaning towards another draw here for Ipswich. They've drawn 3 in a row. I think 3.0 on the draw would be my lean in this one, but I've got 6 games that I really like the look of in this round of fixtures, and this wouldn't be one of my favourite ones either.
Okay, I would probably be all right. Simon, we'll hear from you first.
Yeah, I just think Brentford have been a bit of a revelation. They sold Scott Hogan, who was their talisman, in January. Since then, they've reshuffled and they've scored 13 goals in 5 games. As I said, they are a tough nut to crack. They do pick up points. The last 3 games have been 1-1 draws. They haven't lost in 5. I don't think Ipswich will score, but I don't think Ipswich will lose, sorry, but I do think that Brentford will score. So if Brentford score and Ipswich are going to get something out of it, then Ipswich are going to have to score. So the logical bet for me is both teams to score, 1.81 at Unibet.
Wow, I'm doing both teams to score as well. Actually, 1.73 I got, so you got better odds than me. Yeah, I was definitely looking at a potential draw or a draw no bet. I was just more siding on the Brentford draw no bet than say the Ipswich draw no bet. 2.1. They're obviously Brentford are on the back-to-back wins here. Obviously, one of them was to Rotherham, but time before that was to Sheffield Wednesday, and I just think that at the moment they're slightly stronger than Ipswich, although Ipswich do have that home advantage. But it's both teams to score for me is my bet there. Nottingham versus Brighton. We've got Brighton 1.91, draw 3.6, Nottingham 4.1. Remarkable how you've got a team in 18th, Nottingham, and second place Brighton with pretty much exactly the same. Nottingham's at home to Brighton's away. Could we see a draw in this match? Is it going to be close, Simon?
I think, and I did say last week about Brighton, they're a team that haven't been in the top flight since the 80s. Obviously, they went down leagues. They've been in administration. They've left the Goldstone. They went to the Withdean. They've come up Championship. The last 3 seasons or 4 seasons, they've been in the playoffs and lost 3 times. So the nerves are going to be there. And after the Newcastle game, where they were 1-0 up, obviously gave away a really unlucky equaliser and went on to lose. I think they're going to be really, really nervous. And if you couple that with Forest's home record, you know, they've got 8 wins, 3 draws, 5 losses. It's not bad. They do tend to score goals. So look, Brighton need this. Obviously, Huddersfield are playing Newcastle, and potentially at least one of them is going to drop points. So Brighton can't afford to drop points. And I think that Brighton will see a draw here as 2 points dropped as well. I do fancy the Brighton win, and you can get that at nearly even money, which I think is great. But I also like the both teams to score, which again is at 1.95. So probably a split stake on both teams to score and on Brighton to win as well. Yeah.
Pretty incredible. We must. We're definitely singing from the same page here. I like the Brighton win as well. It is close, but they cannot let these points slip at this point. Brighton win, and I've got a lean on both teams to score a 1.95. Martin, what are you going for?
Yeah, I take the point that Brighton have been absolute specialists in blowing their chance to get promoted to the Premiership for several years now. They're always there or thereabouts and just fall at the very last hurdle and miss out. But I think this could be a bit different this season. They look a bit more confident. Chris Hughton does know how to get a team promoted to the Premiership. And I think they can win this one. Nottingham Forest haven't won in 4, and I've been very underwhelmed by their performances of late. They lost 3 in a row, and then they could only draw with second bottom Wigan last time out. I think Brighton should have little trouble creating plenty of chances here. They'll be sorely disappointed if they fail to leave with all 3 points. So I think Brighton outright at 1.91 with Bet365 and Sky Bet. 1.95 with Bright Bet looks a great bet. Looks a great price there.
Yeah. All right. So we're all going for that Brighton win. QPR versus Cardiff. QPR 2.5, Cardiff 2.8, and the draw 3.3. Not really much difference between these two teams, obviously, apart from a few places in the standings table. Both teams hit or miss. I think this is one of my passes here. I'm going for a possible draw. What do you like in this match, Simon?
Oh yeah, I think QPR, they have slightly improved, but they've still lost 3 and 5. They really struggle at home. For me, earlier on I mentioned that there's a few clubs that could potentially get to the playoffs. Now, gap, but I know that Neil Warnock, he's quite a canny manager. Table, looking at Reading and Sheffield Wednesday, you know, slipping up, and he'll be saying, you know, we could go for it here. 1-7 and 11. They've scored 11 goals in 3. I'm going to have a little bit on the Cardiff win. I fancy that both teams score at 1.9, but I'm going to have a little bit on the Cardiff win at 2.95. I think that's really, really good value for that, because I just don't think that a draw is any good to them. I think they'll just go for it without any fear. Well, they're winning that one.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Martin, what do you like in this match?
I quite like Cardiff draw double chance, 1.55, bet 365 here. I know QPR have had a bit of a resurgence of late, but they did still lose their last game against Preston. I'm still not convinced by this QPR team. Cardiff are unbeaten in their last 4 games, and yeah, they might fancy a charge up the table and trying to crack into that playoff position. I think they can leave with a result. 1.55 isn't the most amazing value, but I'd
that's pretty low. Maybe one for an accumulator bet or something.
Yeah, or draw no bet then if you're feeling a bit bolder. But no, it's not one of my top tips that game.
All right. Right, what match are we on next? Reading versus Wolves. Obviously, Wolves in very poor form here. Just bringing up the odds. We've got 2.3 for Reading, Wolves 3.4, and the draw 3.3. You know, must win really for Reading. Must win for Wolves as well. Really, they're only couple of points off relegation. Just wondering though, Reading at home, they should be able to clinch this one. Price is not bad as well there, 2.25. What do you like here, Martin?
Yeah, I really like Reading in this game. They have lost their last 2 games in a row, but those were against top sides in Brighton and Huddersfield, who are 2nd and 3rd in the table. I think they'll fare much better against a very poor Wolves side who did suffer that 4th straight defeat against local rivals Birmingham in the big Black Country derby that we talked about. So they're 20th, not doing very well. They're fighting for their lives, which makes it a bit risky opposing them. But I still think Reading can get back on track here with a win. Before those 2 defeats they suffered, they were on a really good long winning streak, and I think they can recapture the magic. I found 2.38 on that, which I backed them at earlier in the week. Not sure if you can still get that price. It might have shifted a little bit, but the odds are good enough that you can even go draw no bet if you're feeling a bit more cautious. You can get 1.66 on that, but I just like a straight Reading win here. Yeah,
right. What are you going for, Simon?
This is the game that I'm going to skip. I mean, Wolves are terrible at home, but their away record, they've won 5, drawn 5, quite average. I know they've lost their last 4, but 3 of those were at Molineux. Potential banana skin for Reading. I know that they, as Martin says, you know, they lost 2 difficult games, but they just haven't really got that cutting edge for me. I think that Wolves are fighting for their lives, and the last 2 head-to-heads here have been a draw at Reading as well. So I see this as a potential banana skin for Reading. So I'm going to skip this one.
All right, a banana skin for Reading. Okay, Rotherham versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa 1.83, draw 3.6, Rotherham 5. Sort of on, you know, Aston Villa seem to have turned a corner. They got 2 back-to-back wins. Rotherham obviously facing serious. Well, I think 17 points they've got. 23rd place has got 31 points. They really are out, aren't they? Very hard to turn that around. I sort of like the Aston Villa win, but I'm just a little bit, undecided. But Aston Villa win looks the bet here. What are you going for, Martin?
Yeah, I think Aston Villa win totally. They had a horrible run of form, but suddenly they're back in business. Two good wins in a row against Derby and Bristol City, which has lifted them up to 15th. That's not good enough at all for a club of Aston Villa's stature. But it was always going to be a big rebuilding job there after what a dismal time they had in the Premiership last season. I think, yeah, they can definitely keep the momentum going against Rotherham, who are really planning for life in League One next year. Odds of 1.8 just look very attractive. I think Aston Villa win all day long.
Yeah, and Rotherham's still yet to pick up a win on the road. What are you going for, Simon?
Yeah, I mean, I did say last week, I said that, you know, once the players start to gel that they brought in January, I think that they'll go on a little run, Villa, winnable games, and certainly this is a winnable game. 0.8, and I'm thinking, and the reason for that is we know that Rotherham play without any fear and they do score goals. I mean, they scored a couple at Brentford. Obviously, Brentford just beat them in injury time last week on the win. But what I do like is Villa over 1.5 team goals at 1.83. Villa don't goals, but I think at Rotherham, I think they'll get a couple. But Rotherham could also score. They're capable of scoring goals. So instead of going for the win, I'm going to go for Villa over 1.5 team goals at 1.83.
Interesting. We've got Ethan De Souza asking, is Villa a banker? Martin, you'd say is a banker, but you're a little unsure there, Simon.
Yeah, it'd be a banker for me.
I am.
Yeah.
The reason I'm not saying it's a banker is because we know that Rotherham have got goals in them. They play with freedom, and Villa aren't high scorers. They've not really hit their stride. Potentially be something. So I prefer to go with Villa goals rather than the win.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so we've got one yes. I think I'm Aston Villa at home. I think they are on a run. And you're right, Simon, you mentioned that last week as well. I think we've now picked up 2 wins. I think home against a winless road Rotherham. I think that Aston Villa should get the job done. Sheffield Wednesday versus Norwich. Sheffield Wednesday 2.3, Norwich 3.2, and then the draw 3.5. All those odds with Bet365. What do you like in this match, Martin?
2 teams in my naughty corner here, I'm afraid, playing against one another. I was a couple of weeks ago. I was loving Sheffield Wednesday. They won 4 in a row, backed them every time, and made me a lot of money. But since then, it's gone well off the boil. Ditto Norwich, really. I expected them to beat Ipswich last time out, and they failed to do so. I'm inclined to leave both of them well alone for a bit.
Yeah, all right. So you're staying away. What are you're going for, Simon?
I'm really glad they're playing each other because they're both in the naughty corner, and I'm just really glad that, you know, they're not playing against someone else. I mean, Norwich have only won 4 away. Wednesday are strong at home. They've won 11. Both teams, I think, have only won once in the last 5. I'm just going to have a small stake on the draw. And that's all I'm going to do for that game. That's it.
All right, interesting. Okay, yeah, I think this is a pass for me. Huddersfield versus Newcastle. Newcastle 2.5, Huddersfield 2.75, draw 3.3. Those odds with Bet365. Very interesting match here. Huddersfield, obviously, they took a knock over the weekend, but you know they are really fighting, and they appear to be fighting for that top spot. It's a tough one to call, to be honest with you. What do you like in this match, Martin?
Agree, yeah, it is a very tough one to call. This is the biggest game of the weekend, and both teams are in great form. Very little to choose between them. Right at the start of the season, Huddersfield beat Newcastle to really get their season off to a great start. They'll be confident going into this one. But Newcastle deserve to be the league leaders. They'll be full of confidence themselves after what was really an excellent win over Brighton on the road. I think just the 5-1 defeat that Huddersfield suffered might affect their confidence, and it might have made them a bit tired, sapped their energy a little bit. So I'd be inclined just to risk a straight bet on the Newcastle win there, and 7-4, so 2.75 with Bet365. That looks a very good price. Oh no, sorry. What 2.5 on the Newcastle win?
2.5. And you wouldn't want to cover yourself there with like a draw no bet?
Yeah, I'd consider a draw no bet, but I was on the fence about this game before the video started, and I've convinced myself while we've been talking that Newcastle can do it. So I'm going straight win for the Toon.
Cool. All right. I'm thinking both teams to score in this match. I'm very nervous about a draw here, but I think both teams want to prove themselves. I think both teams are playing for the 3 points, and I think we're going to see goals from either side. 2 you can get that with at William Hill. All right, so that is the end of the show. We've just got left. We're going to do a 2. Did I miss one?
That one. You
Pardon?
didn't ask me about that one, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Simon.
Naughty corner or something.
No. Sorry. Go on. Huddersfield versus Newcastle.
I agree with you. I think it's virtually the best home record against the best away record. Newcastle are missing Dwight Gale. He might be out again. I think that affected them in their last couple of games. I think they got lucky in the end against Brighton. Newcastle away, they've only kept 1 clean sheet in 7. Scored in 11 at home. Both teams score in something like 80% of their games. So I think both teams to score at even money, I think is a fantastic bet for this game.
Yeah, I thought that as well, Simon, when I picked the bet as well. I thought that's a fantastic bet. Okay, a 2-team parlay or an accumulator bet, and then your banker or the bet that you feel most confident on. Martin, what are you going for?
I've just changed my mind, and I'm now going to go for Brighton and Newcastle to cement their position at the top of the table with famous wins. So that'll be my 2-team parlay. My banker, I will go with Aston Villa to beat Rotherham. Although I do also like Brighton to beat Nottingham Forest as a banker too.
Interesting. I think I'm going to go for Bristol win and Barnsley +1 as my accumulator, but actually quite tempted to stick Aston Villa in there as well. And then my banker is Birmingham versus Leeds, both teams to score 1.95. Simon, last but not least.
Okay, my double would be, I think, Blackburn draw no bet and Ipswich Brentford, both teams to score. And is Huddersfield Newcastle, both teams to score. I really like that bet.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, we've got some good bets this week. We're definitely more confident, I think, on this and as a unit this week than we have in previous weeks. Some have been like really confident on like one bet, whereas like somebody totally disagrees. We seem a little bit more unified, which is maybe more encouraging. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But thank you so much for your tips, guys. And you guys at home, best of luck with your tips, and see you soon.
Thanks, Natalie.